really recommend that you take a visit and maybe take a tour of the police department. It's very cramped. It's really not, it's disgraceful really, and it needs to be improved. Now, I know that it's a costly measure to propose anything dramatic like that, but the police department needs to be modernized. It really needs more equipment, and we really have to think about how we want to do this to make sure that we have adequate public service and we have protection for our community. So I recommend take a look at the police station. You'll know what I'm talking about.
Thank you. Mr. Schubert?
So I have the privilege of sitting next to Chief Kaminsky in our city council meetings just by the sheer nature of the order of the horseshoe. And I can say one thing, that during my time on council is I've learned more about police issues, and I walked on to council shortly after the discussion around building a new police station. I can say with confidence during my time on council that any specific need that Chief Kaminsky or anyone on the staff has wanted is something that can be brought up to council. One particular example is kind of raising awareness to needing to hire a mental health specialist, because that's another area that the police force is dealing with more readily. So I think we're very open in terms of needs and requests in support of the police department.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Van Rooyen, you have the next question first. Would you vote in favor of making Park Ridge a sanctuary city? Why or why not?
Well, I don't think that in advance of discussing an issue, I would be able to make a decision about voting yes or no for many things. I don't know that there is a large enough population related to sanctuary cities that Park Ridge would need to consider such a thing. Obviously, we're a welcoming committee, and we would want to have open doors to any people that want to live here, and I support the freedoms that we all have here.
Thank you. Mr. Barnett?
No, I would not.
Thank you. Mr. Schubert?
I think Park Ridge should be a very welcoming and open community, but I would want to kind of abide by federal laws that are in place. I wouldn't necessarily support at all being a sanctuary city.
Thank you. Slowly and carefully. Ms. Wilkening?
Sitting too far at the end. We're definitely a welcoming community, but I also don't think I would be in support of a sanctuary city for Park Ridge.
Thank you. Mr. Barnett takes this question first. 15% of all Park Ridge residents live in condo associations. They pay the same taxes as other homeowners. The city considers them private and does not provide snow plowing, street maintenance, or other city services. Buyers find it extremely difficult to learn of this double taxation prior to the sale. The issue is found only in one sentence in an obscure paragraph in city documents titled Easements. Will you support a city council policy statement requiring all condo sellers and real estate salespersons to divulge this issue to all condo buyers? It is equally as important as mold or construction deficits, which must be divulged prior to the sale.
I was in a condo this afternoon, the one that's on the lake, Plaza del Lago, and was talking to a realtor and a prospective buyer there. It's very clear in the information on the renting and the what they call the HOA, the assessment value. It lays out very clearly. I was surprised it was a fairly high HOA, but that covered snow plowing and other things. So no, I think people who buy condos in Park Ridge are well aware that there are issues, that they have to pay an assessment, a monthly assessment. That takes care of those needs, and I don't think the city has business really making a decision one way or the other. I think that's between the buyer, the seller, the realtor, and the attorney who's involved. So I would say I would probably not be interested in that.
Thank you. Ms. Wilkening?
You forgot Mr. Burnett?
Mr. Schubert. Oh, I'm sorry, I checked it out. Thank you. I have,
I'm confused.
come up afterwards and admire my grid that still hasn't saved me.
Thank you, I was ready to give my answer. So generally speaking, I don't necessarily support the city getting involved in private transactions. I would be open to a discussion about it because I'd like to hear the varying points of view on the topic, but I'd also want to check and see what other municipalities around Park Ridge are doing. If all of them, or even a substantial amount, have this type of disclosure requirement, then I would certainly consider it. But my guess would be that's not the case, and if it isn't, then I wouldn't support it for Park Ridge.
Thank you. Ms. Wilkening.
Typically, I own a condo, and the cost of snow plowing and outdoor maintenance, indoor maintenance, common areas and things, that's all rolled into your assessments. I'm not certain why you'd need a city to get involved with any kind of statement like that. As one of the gentlemen said, it's a private transaction. If there was some great need for this, I'd say it would be worth discussing. But I think that most people understand that that sort of stuff is covered by your condo assessment or whatever the proper wording is for it.
Thank you. Mr. Van Rooyen.
Thank you. In most cases, the declaration documents that you go through when you purchase a property clearly explain what you own and what you don't. The homeowners association charges relate to maintaining common properties. Most of the condominium owners are equal shareholders of those common areas, and so that is their land, that's their private property to contend with. I wouldn't ask the Public Works Director to send a plow over to my house to do my driveway, and I'm not going to send them over to somebody else's condo lot to do their condo lot.
Thank you. Mr. Schubert takes this question first. And I think it looks like this will be our last question before we go to summations. Mr. Schubert, name 3 specific types of retailers you want to bring to Park Ridge. Where would you put them, and what kind of incentives would you be willing to offer them to come here?
So first of all, I wouldn't allow an incentive program for retailers or frankly anybody to come to Park Ridge. When I started on city council and learned from the wisdom of my fellow city council colleagues with the whole food situation, we ultimately did not offer incentives to them, and they still came to Park Ridge and are doing quite well. In terms of specific types of retailers, I don't have specific names that have to come to Park Ridge. Again, I'm all for streamlining our regulations, standardizing and refreshing our zoning ordinance to make Park Ridge an attractive place for all retailers to come to Park Ridge. More preferably with the type of community we are, smaller, boutique shops would tend to work well in the uptown area. But from an incentive standpoint, I would not offer an incentive program for anyone to come to Park Ridge.
Thank you. Ms. Wilkening.
Regarding incentives, no, I don't believe in giving anyone incentives to come here. That's sort of what the Uptown TIF was, and at the time that was kind of spoon-fed to the city, I was on the park board, and every taxing body that had a vote on the Uptown TIF, and as the representative of the park board, I voted against it. We're still trying to dig out from that mess. I think we need more restaurants and little shops. I think there's a great need for that sort of thing. We have really a nice, thriving restaurant business downtown now. I think we need to keep going that way. I don't think we need any more banks. I'd like to see things where we get some sales tax. There's lots of cute places we could that are open for shops, and I think over time those will be filled. That's the kind of stuff we need, the little shops, and no more banks.
Thank you. Mr. Van Rooyen.
I happen to be the liaison to the Planning and Zoning Committee and for the city, between the City Council and Planning and Zoning. And one of the things that I support are more planned unit developments, where given those types of developments, the city has some negotiating power to work with developers and kind of ask for something in exchange for helping them to move into our area. When it comes to individual stores, that's driven by entrepreneurs and private money. The city doesn't own these stores, and the city really shouldn't be directing landlords to have one type of business or another. I think that economic need will drive that, and as some of the candidates have indicated, we've been growing, and the city seems to be thriving in a lot of ways.
Thank you. Mr. Barnett.
Financial incentives,
Just one second, please. Okay, all right.
Nothing personal.
It's always me, I know. Take a deep breath, there we go. Okay, yeah, no financial incentives, but certainly marketing. I would really like to do some more outreach. There was some talk about using some of the city staff, or maybe even the folks in the Chamber of Commerce, to do some outreach. So, yeah, we do want to encourage business here. We don't want to pay for them, we don't want to give them a financial incentive, but we'd certainly like them to come. And I think we got to I think marketing pays off, advertising works, and I think if we can do that, I think that's good. My dream, what I'd love to see, frankly, and this is probably not going to happen, is that our little village green here, which is utterly underused, plenty of parking. I would love to see an outlet mall, a mini outlet mall come in there that would have kind of high-end kind of little stores that would do outlets. So that would be a dream I'd like to see happen. I don't know if that would happen, but again, I think it wouldn't impact any neighborhoods too much, be a lot of parking available, and just might be what we need to get us going. Thank you.
Thank you. So now I think for the close, we're going to start with Mr. Schubert, but then let's just go along in order, and that way we'll be keeping the wards together when you hear the summary, just to help you a little bit with your decision making. So we'll go Mr. Schubert, Mr. Barnett, like that, blah, blah. Okay. I told you, there's not enough money to pay me to be the timekeeper. I'm
Now I
telling
have
you.
to subtract.
The anxiety. I know. That's why I won't be the treasurer either. Like numbers? You're kidding me. So tell me when you're ready.
Okay,
Ready?
right. we're
Okay,
ready.
Mr. Schubert, 1.5 minutes.
So again, I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight to listen to all of the candidates so you can start to form your own opinions about who you would like to vote for in the upcoming election on April 4th. I want to reiterate my campaign theme, which is moving Park Ridge forward. So how have I moved Park Ridge forward, or helped with my fellow city council colleagues move Park Ridge forward during my first term? Some of the highlights including leading the charge to rewrite our city liquor ordinance, which has partially led to a lot of the new restaurants coming in the uptown area. Also, as Public Works Committee Chair, advancing the Stormwater Master Plan, as well as the garbage recycling transition. And also working through the parking situation with a few minor updates, but obviously more to come with a parking study on the horizon. So expect more of the same if I'm elected to a second term. We have plenty left to accomplish, including stormwater master planning, economic development, infrastructure investments, zoning ordinance updates, parking, as well as bike planning. And I encourage all of you that are in the Fourth Ward, and all of you in general, if you'd like to hear more about my priorities, if I were to be elected to a second term, I'm actually hosting a fundraiser next Tuesday, March 7th from 5:30 to 7:30 at Beer on the Wall on Main Street in Uptown, which is also one of the new businesses that have come to Park Ridge recently. So most importantly, I wanted to ask for your vote on April 4th, and also early voting that begins on Monday, March 20th. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Barnett.
You ready? Okay. I want to keep expenses low without compromising quality of city services. I want to keep home ownership affordable. And I know we need to strengthen, not abandon the promise to senior citizens so they can stay in their homes where they've lived and raised their families. I believe in inclusiveness, openness, and open communications. I think it'll make us all stronger. I think I know what it takes to be a leader in Park Ridge, and I want to lead us into the future by maintaining the quality of life we all enjoy. It is my sincere belief that I'm the best choice for this job as Alderman of the 4th Ward. And I humbly and respectfully ask for your vote on April 4th. And I appreciate being here, and thank you to the league. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Van Ryan.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the league for having us. This is a great forum and an opportunity for everyone to speak. You know, since I've been on the city council, I've worked on the stormwater, supporting the stormwater master plan, so we can figure out exactly what we need to do as a community. The stormwater fee, utility fee, how we would pay for it. These are all responsible things that the city council is doing on behalf of the community. In addition to that, we have, the community has developed in such a positive way that I feel the bottom line for residents has been a prosperous influx of restaurants and services in our community and the creation of sales tax revenue sources. We've done that in a lot of ways, and I think when you're in the downtown area, you see that. I'd like to see those same things happen to the south side of the city, and I'd like to continue doing this job for you. I think I've done a good job, and I'd appreciate your vote.
Thank you. Ms. Wilkening.
You managed to do this without spilling any water.
Oh, don't say it. Oh, don't say it.
Okay, sorry. Thank you so much for this opportunity to come and speak with these gentlemen. I've been around here a long time. I've been elected twice before by the citizens of Park Ridge, and I'd like to be elected again. There's a lot to be done. Flooding has been my major concern because of where I live, and I've seen what happens firsthand. I think the stormwater survey is a wonderful start, and we really need a master plan. City of Park Ridge is different than most places. It has a certain charm and a feeling that other towns don't have. So when we talk about development, I think we need to have it to be sensible development in keeping with the way the town is built, the way the town feels. I love it here. I can't imagine living anyplace else. And I'd like to be the representative of the 3rd Ward and to continue the good work that the City Council has done, what with refinancing the TIF debt service and putting forth a real plan for some flood control. Thanks again, and I didn't knock over any water.
Thank you. No applause yet. No applause yet. I'm going to do a little bit of housekeeping because I know once you start applauding, you're going to be making your way out the door. The candidates can stay. If your question didn't get asked or you have some other questions, ask them. They've got their campaign materials are out on the table out there. This is going to be uploaded to YouTube, and it will first be posted on the AAUW, the American Association of University Women's website, the local one here. We often partner with them, and we don't have a website yet, but look for the Northwest Suburban AAUW. It should be up by Sunday. Then we're going to email the link to all of the candidates so that they can post it if they have Facebook pages and what have you. And tell your friends also who weren't here tonight. This was a great turnout, but obviously pretty small percentage of Park Ridge, so that people have an opportunity to hear that. So now, I'd like all the candidates to stand, including any candidates that we had earlier, our mayoral candidates or our other ward. Please stand. Let's have some applause. A lot of guts these days, and every time I come to Park Ridge, I'm impressed with the amount of passion, interest, research that your candidates have done. Now, candidates, sit down, please. Sit down.
Yes, ma'am.
Audience, would you stand up, please? I'd like everybody in the audience to stand up. It's a crummy work night And we have to have an engaged and informed electorate for our country to work. So you guys have come out to hear your local candidates, and the turnout is not usually all that awesome in these local elections. We just had some pretty low turnout in Evanston for our primaries. But these are the folks that touch you, whom you can actually touch. This is important. This is about flooding and what happens to the gas station, and does our police department get some improvements that they'd like to have. So candidates, could we please applaud your audience? Okay, sit down, please. Now, would every member of the League of Women Voters please stand up?
Again.
Please stand up. So listen, you guys. Thank you. You can. I won't make you stand too long. So the Park Ridge League of Women Voters, they got this room. They were over here so many times during the week checking out. This room only had one mic, so those of you who saw that really nice woman who was here earlier, she brought over a second mic from the park department building and plugged it in. We tested it endlessly. Look at these name cards. Could we have a round of applause for these awesome name cards? Okay, awesome, right? There was publicity. We had somebody walking around. You got to write questions. We had card sorters. We had people walking around. So the League of Women Voters is your local organization that really rolls its sleeves up to do the hard work of democracy. Without organizations that are nonpartisan and willing to do this, you don't have a chance to see your candidates. So I believe there's some membership information on the table out there. So please consider it, because even if you don't want to do the hard work of rolling up your sleeves for democracy, right? We're also an advocacy organization. Warm bodies. We need numbers. Throw down a little love in the direction of your local Park Ridge League of Women Voters. It's not that expensive, people, but also it's a great way to find out what's going on in your town. So please remember, friends, do not let friends stay home on election day unless they voted early. And thank you so much for your kind attention tonight.
I think we should have a round of applause for our moderator.
Well.